All right, guys, once again, welcome to the Monday webinar. This is a look at all of the long-term setups and short-term and anything that we might be looking at for the week. Major levels, major things we're going to be getting into. Within the trading group, so from day to day, we're going to focus probably on some shorter-term things because I know exactly what I want to do on several of these pairs, but there could be a couple of short-term opportunities to talk about. Well, there are some short-term opportunities to talk about, and there will be some short-term trades to take, and we'll talk about those on our day-to-day webinars, morning and afternoon webinars throughout the week. But I will focus on, today, I'm going to focus on kind of the bigger levels and the bigger setups that we're looking for and waiting for, because I think they're going to be super duper. Okay, so as a reminder, you can go to daytradersfx.com and get a free 5-day trial to our live trading group just by clicking on Start Now. So if you would like to get that, well, darn it, come get it. And it's all right there. So we'd love to have you in the group, and I think it would be a good asset to your trading. Okay, let's talk about what kind of news we have this week. We have tons of news, actually. We have quite a bit of it. We still have some news coming out today from Japan. The typical Bank of Japan press conference and all that stuff, and they're just going to say what they've been saying for the last several months, which is the yen will continue to weaken, and we'll just see how that goes. So we'll talk about some yen pairs shortly. Going into Monday, we have a couple of decent reports. Manufacturing production, not a huge one for the UK. Building permits, not a huge one for us or for Canada. And then the JOLTS job openings is not a huge one for the US. So Tuesday might be a little bit meh. So we're not really worried about, or we're not too excited about Tuesday news, but we are excited about setups that could be here by tomorrow. So that's going to be great. We have FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. That's going to be kind of a big deal, so that'll be worth looking at. There may not be too much going on Wednesday morning, but we'll be here regardless. But we definitely will be live Wednesday late morning at 11 a.m. for the FOMC meeting minutes. So that should be pretty interesting. And then Wednesday evening, we have Australian employment change. Those are huge, huge numbers. We love Aussie employment numbers for Aussie pairs, especially since we're looking at several Aussie pairs. That can be really, really important. So we're pretty excited about that. And then Thursday, we've got some interest rate announcements for UK, and that's definitely a good little mover there. Employment numbers for the US. And then going into Friday, PPI and University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Blah, blah, blah. So we've got some news this week. We've got enough news to keep things interesting for sure, and a good little selection of everything. Okay, so trades I will be married to. It's going to depend a little bit on what kind of marriage I'm going to have with these trades. If it's going to be a little bit rocky or a little bit fantastic, I don't know. And some of these are going to be like honeymoon stage, and others are going to be like the nearly dead stage. But let's talk about what is going on with this euro dollar and what I'm looking for. I am like 100% zero interested in any of the short-term setups on euro dollar. I just don't care about the short-term setups on this pair in particular because it's kind of a mess. It's just, there's a lot of chop, there's a lot of craziness going on. The one thing that is appealing still is the fact that we've got this 200 moving average that continues to get a little on the extended side. Now, because of this reason, I am overall bearish euro dollar, like 100% overall bearish. Short-term stuff, though, I just think there's going to be a lot of chop, and I just don't know how much I want to get involved in that craziness. Now, of the short-term stuff you can look for, we've got a little bit of these short-term levels kind of coming in. You can see a little bit of a pennant forming here, some of that stuff, but that's just not enough for me to get super excited. So there's that for a continuation higher, but ultimately what I'm looking for here is we've got 137, we're currently just shy of 137.50, which is great. And again, my minimum target is about 135.90 now, which is the 200 moving average, but really my big target is 130. Well, my couple of targets are 130, 150, 130, 127.50. Those are the ones I'm looking for. And so that's what I'm ultimately going to be trading towards. If I had to do something right now, I'd be short euro dollar. But I don't have to do something right now, and I don't think it's even smart to do something right now on this euro dollar. But if I had to go one direction, I'd go euro dollar and just forget about it and let it come back to that 200 moving average and pay us out nicely. What I would like to see here, again, remember, the only risk of long stuff on euro dollar is this monthly chart. And remember, the monthly chart, all these highs and lows represent starts and ends of quantitative easing programs, and we can see that tapering is starting, and we're right at this high here. The only thing that's gotten me a tiny bit concerned about euro dollar is how it's been running around, bouncing around at this high, with a bit of a bullish engulfing candle here. Again, this is a monthly chart, and so that's a little bit scary. But overall, I would be beyond shocked to see the euro dollar break 140. I think it could a little bit, like 140.50, maybe 140.100, but I just don't know how possible that is. Remember, we're trying to hold off until May for the big movements, and that's obviously 3 weeks or so away. But typically, the beginning candle in May is wherever the market opens in May, that's either the high or low for the next couple of months. And so if we get a little bit of a run up here on this euro dollar, then the opening candle in May could just be a fantastic move down. So what I am looking for and would like to be, quote, married to is an entry around 138.50 is what I would like to see to get short euro dollar. You can see that we've got some of these highs up here going back into March, going back just a couple of weeks at about 139.50, 60, and so on. So I would like to get short at right around the highs of last week, 138.20, 30, 40 area. So about 138.50 would be my ideal spot to get in, get short, and stay short, and just forget about it. We would have stops above these highs at least, but this would be a kind of a trade that I wouldn't get out of. I would stay in the trade until it paid me out. 138.50 would be my entry to stay short euro dollar until kingdom come, kind of a thing. Because remember, one of our biggest reasons is we have a missed pivot down here at 127.50. And then we have a 200 moving average that has not been hit in 130 days, or 129 anyways, and it looks like we're not going to get there anytime super soon regardless. So this is a great area to start looking for shorts euro dollar about 100 pips higher. I'd like to see 100 pips higher. So 138.50 would be where I want to get short euro dollar. Now remember, this view changes a little bit as we go. You can probably see in the notes that I had some euro dollar notes today. I think I actually got rid of them here in the chat, and I was looking for slightly lower levels, but now I'm still holding out for that 138.50. I think we're going to get it, and I think that's going to be an awesome area to start getting short. Again, a trade that I will just stay in. So whether you need to have pretty large stop losses and trade pretty small lot sizes, or you're able to hedge, either one of those are going to be good good ways to kind of offset this trade, because it definitely could go against us 100 or 200 pips or even 250 pips. To which I say, don't care. I'm sitting in this thing until it hits at least the low 130s. So you can see that there's 600-700 pips profit potential if we see that 138.50. And I will so definitely be getting short if we hit 138.50. Okay, pound dollar. Pound dollar is going to be a little bit tricky. Again, the short-term moves, I don't see anything super exciting on the short-term side of things. We're just kind of swinging around and bouncing around here. We're still watching some of these highs. You can see we got up at 168.20 area, and that is still the area that I want to get short against, is 168.20. So we're about 200 pips off of that. I'm still looking for about 167.50. 167.50. You can see we're just above 16600, so we need almost 150 pips to get up to the point where I am interested in getting short. But again, at that 167.50 area, I am so super interested in getting short. and just again holding on to the trade and letting it play out as long as it needs to play out. A couple of things to remember. If we go to the monthly chart here, you can see that the pound dollar has been channeling here, and it might be ready to break that channel. I don't know. Who am I to say? It could be ready to break that channel and break these highs and make a huge run up, which is why I will just get in this trade and stay in this trade. Now, I am able to hedge, and so I will do that if this does break these highs. But if we take this big movement out of the picture, out of the equation, and we just look at the channel that it's been in since about 2000, end of 2008 until now, which is obviously a long time, we're at the highs. We're at the highs of those channels. The pound dollar has been running off these lows and reversing off these highs, and so for this to break such a significant resistance level, after having a fairly steady run of about 1,500 pips, seems very, very unlikely. Now, of course, we don't want to just trade off a seems like kind of scenario, but that is a very unlikely situation for this to break this level after a significant run over the last several months. And once again, when we go and refer back to our to our setup here on the daily chart, we have a very, very nice little movement away from this 200 moving average. We haven't hit it in 190, a little over 190 bars, and we have crazy amounts of missed weekly pivots down below. So I am going to attack the heck out of this thing and look for big shorts, again, around 167.50. If you want to know where my stops are, once again, I will hedge this position anywhere from 50 to 100 pips against me, and just let it run as far as it needs to run. If you're unable to hedge, then I would definitely recommend using a small lot size, because this will be a trade to stay in. There's definitely some possibilities that the pound dollar could reach 170, and I'm okay with that. I'll just let this thing run. I'm getting it at 167.50, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to see these moves up on both euro dollar and pound dollar over the next week or maybe 2 weeks. I'm pretty confident we're going to see these movements. We're going to be able to get in euro dollar around 138.50 and pound dollar around 167.50 and even 168.00, which I wouldn't hate. And these are going to be some fantastic little moves, and again, I'm just going to stay in them until we get some big pullbacks down. And I'm going to be looking for about 160 on the pound dollar, 130 on the euro dollar. So again, we're talking 700-800 pips depending on our entries. There's lots and lots of money to be made on both of these pairs. I'm not going to lie about the fact that I have kind of lost that loving feeling for this Aussie dollar. It's making a lot of moves, and it's not giving us tons of great opportunity. There were several attempts to get through that neckline, and it just went crazy nuts. We still have plenty of profit potential. Remember, there's about 420-30 pips from the neckline to the head, which puts us at around 94, or excuse me, about 9,500. 9,500 is a profit target, so there's plenty of opportunity here. What I'd like to see on the Aussie dollar is a retracement still back to that 91.50, 9100 area. We've been waiting for that for several days, and it just has kind of gone sideways. So again, I want to see us get back to 91.50, between 91.50 and 9100, and I think those will be great areas to get long Aussie dollar and target that 9,500. So I think that is still in play, but I'm not going to be watching it as super closely as I have been lately, because it's just getting kind of choppy. So we need to see that retracement, and then we will start getting long Aussie dollar, but it's going to be a little bit of a tricky one. And one of the reasons the Aussie dollar is a little confusing is that I kind of have a picture of, of some consistencies that we have in the works here, and those consist of seeing some dollar weakness first, and then a semi-incredible amount of dollar strength following all of that. So the Aussie dollar is kind of just, it's kind of out of sync with a lot of things. Okay, so dollar CAD. Dollar CAD's a little bit of a tricky one. Now remember, on the dollar CAD, we're still ultimately looking for this move into this 200 moving average. And all the missed weekly pivots we have on this daily chart that you can see here, we're 142 bars since the last touch on the 200, on the daily chart from the 200 moving average. You can see there's some pretty nice missed weekly pivots that are going to pop up any moment here for this pair. So I like that. But we know that the 1 hour chart is kind of a big question mark here. Dollar CAD has pulled away from this 1 hour chart for 200 bars. That's not something I want to get short into because it's pretty overextended. The question is, how much lower can it go in the short term before it needs to pull back? And I think it's going to need to pull back quite a bit. Or I mean, not necessarily quite a bit, but I think we're going to see some nice retracement here. So what I want to see on dollar CAD, you can see our 200 moving average on the 1 hour chart is about 110.35 now. Going in before the weekend, I was looking at about 11100. Now if I saw 110.50 on dollar CAD, I would get short 110.50, targeting the 200 moving average on this beautiful daily chart here. So this guy's all the way down here at about 107.65, 70 area. We have some weekly pivot points. You can see about 108.20. I mean, it's just looking fantastic. 105.10. There's all the things that we need to see. So there's no doubt in my mind that at least the medium-term direction of dollar CAD is going to be down. But we're probably in the short term going to need to see a little bit of retracement, a little bit of pullback to that upside. So that's what I'm looking for on dollar CAD. Looking for this to get up around 110. Entry area would be between 110.50 and 11100 to short dollar CAD, and then target about 108.50 to 10800 on the sell side of things. So that's what I'm looking for. You can always take your chances of shorting the dollar CAD at the break of this low right here, which is the low of March and the low of April so far, and that's about 109.55 area. You can see about 109.55. If we break that, you could put pending orders at 109.50 or 109.45 to target some of these lows, but I just don't think we're going to get a huge movement without some pullback first. So I do want to see that. I do want to see that pullback on dollar CAD before I really start taking those shorts. But again, you can be looking for, you know, a break of 109.50, but it's just that's going to be a tricky breakout. That'll be one that will very likely pull back, not give us a huge movement if it happens before some retracement happens. So we want to see this thing get back up above 110, you know, into the 110.50 to 11100 area before we start getting short, and then we'll get short and target this 109.50 and a break of 109.50 and a target of 108.50 to 10800. Yes, Dan, I do use a 200 EMA on all my charts. Yes. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Dollar CAD. Everyone clear on euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar, dollar CAD so far? Let me know if you're not. Let's look at this Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie, I'm being a little bit cautious and a little bit careful because two things. We still have plenty of missed weekly pivots down below on the Euro Aussie. We've got a nice head and shoulders pattern in the works. Our neckline is 800 pips from the head, which means we have a target of at least, you know, 140-200. So there's plenty of profit potential here. What I want to see on this Euro Aussie is on the short term, I'd like to see this pull back. We have gone a pretty fantastic amount of time since the last touch. I mean, I can't even hardly see this thing. Since the last time we touched the 200 moving average here, and it goes back right about there. We're talking 300 bars, 300 plus bars on the 1 hour chart. So this isn't one we want to try to get short in just yet. We want to see that pullback. And that pullback, I'm still interested in 150. I'd like to see 150. I could probably get a little excited about 149.50, between 149.50 and 150 entries, but at least above 149.50 is where I would start thinking about getting short. So that's in about 120 pips, and I think that's a good area and a good opportunity to start looking for these entries short on Euro Aussie. Now, of course, employment numbers are going to be a big factor for Australia on how and where this thing moves and just what we see happen here. But so far, I think we're going to have a good opportunity to get short between 149.50 and 150, targeting the low 140s on Euro Aussie. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm absolutely not trying to get short right now. I think we're going to have some nice retracement and get this back up into that 200 moving average at least. And once again, between 149.50 and 150 is where I'd like to get short Euro Aussie. And just a quick look, Pound Aussie is kind of the same situation here, except for the 1 hour chart, which has definitely touched recently. So the 1 hour chart's not so overextended. The 4 hour chart's getting there a little bit, but it's not horrific. It's over 100. It's about 115 bars away. But the daily chart is a huge overextended one, and we need to get some pullback on this and get that move down into the 200 moving average. And that still is going to happen. And I'm still targeting about 175.00 and 170. And so you can see we're at 179 and change. So I'm still looking for this pound Aussie. There we go. I'm still looking for this pound Aussie to get above 180. I would get short above 180 and target, you know, those mid 170s. So that's what I would like to see on this Euro Aussie, and I think we could get it. I think we could see it. I think some good stuff is potentially happening there. But we've got to wait, and I think we need to see at least 75 or 80 pips of retracement before I'm going to start getting short here. Oscar, we did talk about the euro dollar, and you can watch the recording. The recording will be posted in just a couple of minutes after this session. You can watch all the updates on the euro dollar there. Okay, CAD Swiss franc is another one that I'm super excited about. I think the CAD Swiss franc is a beautiful, fantastic, wonderful setup here. We're probably working on an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We've had a nice rising wedge breakout. We're still a long ways from that 200 moving average, about 300 pips, and there's tons of missed weekly pivots up here. So what I want to see happen on this CAD Swiss franc is I want to see some movement back towards this 200 moving average, because we're pretty overextended on this 1 hour chart. 230, about 230 bars on the 1 hour chart from CAD Swiss franc. So I think we can get some moves down into that. I'm still looking for entries between 7,900 and 7,950, and I think we're going to get there, and I'm holding out until we do. I'm not going to get long CAD Swiss franc until we're in that 7,900 to 7,950 area, and it seems like a lot of pullback, and it is a lot of pullback, but I'm waiting for that, and that's the movement I'm going to get in on. Now, of course, as the week goes on, if we see some nice entries otherwise that are going to get us into some shorter term stuff on CAD Swiss franc, like some long entries or something like that, maybe a bounce off this 200 moving average happens, I'll be taking some of these preliminary entries. My big goal and the big target is definitely 7,900 to 7,950. But as we start bouncing around the 80 level and 80.50, I'll be looking for some potential entries. But really, I'm holding off for that 7,900 to 7,950 to get long there. So CAD Swiss franc. Aussie New Zealand's pulling back nicely. It kind of looked like there might be some missed opportunity here, and we had a nice little double top, and this thing is coming right on back, and it's looking glorious. Now remember, this is a channel, so we were all worked up about this thing, and this is just a channel that it's in, and it's been in this channel for several months. So I'm going to look to get long against these lows. Now the lows are obviously a little ways away. You can see it, they're down there over 200 pips, but this double bottom should hold, and the reason that it should hold is because we have tons of missed weekly pivots, and we have tons of space since the last test of this 200 moving average. In fact, I can hardly even go back to that 200 moving average on the daily chart because it's so far back there. So now we're 325 days since the last touch of the 200 moving average, and that's a long ways. That's a very oversold chart, very oversold currency. And it did make a nice little run up there, but it's going to pull back. We're going to have an opportunity to get long against that 105 50-ish area, and we're going to take it like crazy. So we're going to be looking for entries in the 10600 zone. My notes on that one are still valid. There may be some change coming this week, but I don't think so. I think that's still what I'm holding out for. Looking for entries around 106.50. I think we can get 100 pips of retracement and our profit target of 108.50 at the very least. And so that's still what I'm looking for. So 106.50 on this Aussie New Zealand should be a great area to get long, and that would be another trade to be married to. So right now we're talking about Aussie New Zealand. Be married to this trade. We always hear, don't get married to your positions. Be prepared to dump a bad position if if things don't look good. Don't force yourself to be right in the market. And let's be honest, how many marriages would survive if things went south and we dumped the whole situation? We got to stick in there. We got to hang in there. And it's the same thing with these currency pairs. These long-term runs, we want to make sure that we're getting in at good entries. And in this case, a good entry will be the double bottom, near that double bottom on Aussie New Zealand, and just holding on to it. I will stay in this trade until I get paid. If I can get an entry around 106.50. And if I can get an entry around 138.50 on euro dollar, I will stay short in that until I get paid. If I can get an entry around 168.50 on pound dollar, I will stay 167.50. I will stay short in that one just endlessly. Aussie dollar I'm not as committed to. Dollar CAD I'm not as committed to. I think these are good entries, and the levels that I mentioned here are still good. You know, I think 9100 to 9150 to get long Aussie dollar is great, and I think 110.50 to 11100 to get short dollar CAD is great. But pairs that I'm going to be just seriously not letting go until I get paid are going to be euro dollar, pound dollar, CAD Swiss franc, Aussie New Zealand. And the rest of them are details. So those four pairs I will stay in. Remember, we're looking to get long Aussie New Zealand and looking to get long CAD Swiss franc. We're looking to get short euro dollar, short pound dollar, and just ride these mothers into the ground. And so that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do on all these setups and these pairs. Now, as far as some of these other ones, I know a lot of people are looking at Euro CAD pairs and so on. This is still a great setup, and I'd like to see some pullback on this Euro CAD. Remember, it's a little, not even a little, it's a lot of it oversold on the 1 hour chart. So we're still just waiting for that pullback. We're 225 bars since the last touch. Our 200 moving average is up here around 150, just shy of 150-200. So let's watch for that. I'm going to have some more updates on this one as we go, but I'd like to see 150-200 area before I start getting short Euro CAD. And same thing, I'm just looking for a little bit of pullback on this pound CAD. This thing is still consolidating up here, and I just am not ready to jump into this one yet. So pound CAD's a little further out there. Euro CAD, about 100 pips of upward movement, and I'll be looking for shorts on that one. So, but again, the pairs that I am so dead set on, euro dollar, pound dollar, CAD Swiss franc, Aussie New Zealand. Those four pairs are the money makers and the focus this week. And I think we're going to have some really good opportunities for some excellently long-term trades on those that should be worth anywhere from 400 to 800 pips per trade, per pair. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm excited about getting into, and I think there's going to be some fantastic opportunity there. So let's focus on those. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to get this recording posted, and then I'll take questions, comments, anything about any pair. Let me know what you guys have. And of course, thanks for joining, but let's get this recording going, and then I would love to hear your questions and or comments.